Hey there. Today I'm going to show you something that me and Ender as in Goldie DYs, have been working. So this is raids. It's basically kind of like a dungeon looter for Halo Custom Edition. And how it works is that, in a nutshell, there is a single boss that is controlled by a player, and there are other players in the server, and the other player's job is to kill that boss. Alright? Sounds pretty simple, but it's actually pretty complex because there's different classes that players can play as, and the players can also earn loot as they kill the boss, or rather not as they kill the boss, but once they defeat the boss has a chance to drop items for them. Some of the main features of raids is, like I mentioned before, the class system. Players can either play as a soldier, which kind of acts like a DPS. They can play as a medic, which kind of acts as like a healer. They can play as a bandolier, which acts as like an ammo bearer, and they can play as a Spartan, which acts as a tank. Each class can execute ultimate, which is kind of like a special ability, and each player can have equipment. Equipment isn't necessarily constrained to any one particular class. It's the one thing that all players can share. And equipments, they provide passive effects like damage boosting, damage reducing, damage ignores, or critical strike chance. Players can also earn armor, which boosts their health and their defense. So as they go and fight more bosses, then it gives them an advantage. Without further ado, let's go ahead and let's show it off here. Right now I'm playing as a soldier, which is the DPS class. As you can see, I start out with a battle rifle and an assault rifle. And the DPS's ultimate ability is bottomless clip. So if I activate it, see how I didn't have to reload at all, I was just able to spam it. It's pretty cool. You see how it behaves normally. See how I have to reload. So that definitely helps the DPS just deal like tons of damage to the boss all at once there, without having to reload. So let's check out the next class, which is a medic. So the weapons that the medics start out with is the plasma rifle and the plasma pistol. Now what's cool about the medic is that what they shoot at, based on who they shoot at, changes. The behavior is different based on what they shoot at. So if they're shooting at friendly players, they would actually slowly be healing their allies. But if they're shooting at the boss, then they would be doing normal damage to the boss. So the medic kind of has a really cool way of, you know, distributing damage. So the medic's ultimate ability is that they can heal themselves and all local players that are really close to the medic up to full health. So let me show you this real quick. If I were to set my health, let's say, to like really low, right? You can even hear the heartbeat, the hurt effect. And if I were to activate the medic's ultimate ability, bam, full health. So, yep, that's a very, very useful class to have on your team because bosses will hurt, and now we have a player class that can make sure that the entire team stays alive throughout the fight. So I'll show you the next class, which is the bandolier, and they're kind of similar to the medic, but they act as the ammo bearer. So they start out with the minigun and the MA5K here, and they do the main goal of like the bandoliers to sustain damage, so that way the boss's shields can't recharge or anything. So let me go and let me just demo the ultimate here. I'm going to set my ammo to 0 here. See now how I have low ammo on the top right. I have no ammo, no reserves. If I were to activate the bandolier's ultimate ability, see how I just replenished all of the ammo in my gun? This also works with all the other players around me as well. So it's very useful to have when you're fighting bosses, because obviously as you fight the bosses, people are going to be losing their ammo. So Bandolier is definitely a good character to have with your team. I'll show you the final class here, which is the Spartan, which acts as the tank. And they start with a Mauler Spiker, and they have a lot more health compared to the other classes. And the Spartan's ultimate ability is invincibility. So if I were to activate it here and try hurting myself, that wasn't supposed to happen. It's kind of weird. But, yeah, they were supposed to, not take damage. Clearly, that was, yeah, that didn't work right. So, probably what I'm guessing happened is that since I keep switching classes, which is normally not going to happen in a raid anyways, that the recharges aren't syncing correctly. So if we give it a little bit more time here, we can probably demo that ability to its full capability here properly. Let me go ahead and let me reset it. Oops. Go back to the healer. Okay. Go back to the Spartan, and we'll give it a few seconds here to kind of let it do its thing and regenerate itself here. And then I'll be able to show that ability off here in a minute. But while we're waiting here, there's another feature of raids, which are chests. Or crates. They're called crates behind the scenes, but you can call them chests too. And basically what it allows you to do is allows you to loot them and get items for the actual game. So we'll start with the basic chest here, which is the iron chest. And the iron chest will basically reward you an equipment item. So we go walk up to it. Okay, so it looks like I just looted a Lucky Tab Eye, which is a pretty good ability. It gives me a chance to completely ignore damage. And I can equip that by using the equip command. Awesome. So that's the iron chest. Now let's look at the gold chest here. The gold chests are going to upgrade armors. They usually reward armors. So let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, I got a Bandolier Tier 2 armor set, which is pretty good. Which means that my Bandolier can now have more health. And finally, our crystal crate here, which is going to reward a weapon item. So, do even more damage to the bosses. Looks like I just got a Grim Reaper, which is a rocket launcher. That's actually pretty good for the DPS there. And if I try looting these again, as you can see here, I can't loot them. I can only loot them once. How it works is that iron crates can only, or everybody can loot an iron crate once per raid, but only one player in the entire raid can loot a gold or a crystal crate. So that way we're not giving out too many items during raids. Now that a few seconds has passed, let's try that tank ultimate again. Should work this time. Still not working. There must be code wrong, or there must be something. Oh, see, I've only dealt 1 damage to myself. So what's probably happening is that it's not syncing right with SAP. So, I mean, it's a little technical thing, but basically with the invincibility, it turns on God for tank, so they cannot take any damage at all. So now that I've shown you kind of like the player perspective, we can look at some of how the bosses works. So the bosses are their own class. Oops, if I can spell boss right. Only admins can play as bosses, because obviously that'd be really overpowered if players could play as bosses too. And I kind of have a hidden room up here where I can spawn the bosses. So that way there can be a little bit of like an intro sequence, or however the bosses want to be introduced to the players. And I have a few bosses loaded in this test map here. So one of the bosses is like a giant sentinel enforcer. So I'll go ahead and I'll play as him right now. Boss Eliminator is what he's called. Bam. And as you can see, I'm playing as the Eliminator right now, and when I do that, a health bar shows up. All bosses have a certain amount of health, and they have their own unique weapons that they can play as, their own characters. And the goal now as the boss is to kill the players, and the players' goal is to kill you. And as they deal damage to you, that boss health bar will decrease. And for the players, it'll show them how much damage they're dealing to the boss, so that way they can keep track of DPS or any of that kind of fun stuff that raiders like to do. So, let's say, like, maybe a boss, let's say everybody dies to the boss, right? There's a mechanic, it's called wipe. You type in wipe, it automatically kills the boss, and, no loot is dropped. So, yeah, that's the wipe mechanic. Now, I do have a boss in here that has loot, so let's go ahead and play as them real quick. Torres is kind of like a rogue sniper that obviously has a lot of health. Really cool arsenal here of kind of weapons that she can use. And they managed to kill Torres. You're gonna see here on the screen that the she's gonna drop something. It's usually about 10 to 15 seconds after the boss dies to kind of give the player a chance to you know, process what they just happened and all that. I also realized too that this map's not set up for the full boss fight, so we're not gonna see that loot drop, but that's fine. Basically what will happen, it'll say this boss has dropped this item, and players can either need roll or greed roll. A need roll is like, okay, I need this item, so I'm gonna roll on it. And a greed roll is like, okay, I don't need it, but I want it. So they can either roll a need or a greed. They have 30 seconds to go ahead and do all that, and whoever gets the highest score in, well, if you have players that both need and greed roll, then the need table is obviously going to prioritize over the greed table, and whoever rolls the highest in the need table is going to win the item. And then let's say only greed player, or all the players only roll greed, then the highest roll in the greed table will win the item. And right now that's kind of the basis of raids, and yeah, there's a lot more plans to go into it. I'm having a lot of fun working on it, and I thought I would show it off and see what you guys think. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.